And then Pat got that basket put on there, and then the devil, Nancy, that was a group effort.
Because
I
at
think,
9 o'clock,
I
Mr.
think
Manning will stand
Irene
up.
and Rich got it.
He starts a meeting.
Gary was very disappointed in the rest of the nation. If she went
Like
through
Bundy
it,
said,
if she would have went through it, well, but he came back and gave us a talk.
Everybody turn your microphones on, please.
we're ready to turn on.
Thank you.
Mine's green, Kim.
I really don't.
Good thing you're sitting
Crystal
on me.
probably didn't even turn hers on.
I don't know. All right, good morning, everybody.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for your many big blessings you poured out upon us individually and as a county. And Father, we thank you for those blessings. We thank you for our veterans that are here being represented this very day. I ask you, sir, if you would, to be with the judge and the magistrates and all those that will be making decisions today, that the decisions that they make will be for the betterment of everybody within our county, because we ask in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Manning. Good to have everybody here this bright and brisk morning. Certainly want to begin today by welcoming Kim aboard up here with us, and she'll kick me under the table for drawing attention to her, but it's good to have Kim, and we are excited for as we move forward. I would assume everybody's had a chance to look at their minutes. Are there any additions or corrections that need to be made? Hearing none, the minutes will stand approved as read. Thank you. First item on today's agenda is a proclamation for the American Legion 100th anniversary this month. And was it December 9th that was the actual day? 11th. So today, it'll be tomorrow's actually the 100th. So several of us got to go to the 100th anniversary celebration they had. And I read that there, but I want to read it publicly as well, and we'll take it in as a matter of court business today. And I certainly want to thank Commander Buckman for the information that I have here, that I came up with this. This was obviously is not my facts and figures. I just kind of put it down, and I thank Mr. Buckman for that. So I'll read this, and then we'll give you guys an opportunity to speak if you'd like, and we'll go from there. 2019 Griggs Alvey American Legion number 48 100th anniversary proclamation. Whereas American Legion post number 48 was chartered on December 11th, 1919 as Union County Post, State of Kentucky number 48, 1 year and 1 month after the ending of World War I, and shortly after was renamed the Griggs Alvey American Legion Post number 48 in honor of 2 Union County soldiers who died while fighting in France. Private Willie Griggs, who died 28 September 1918, and Private Thomas Earl Alvey, who died 21 July 1918. Whereas post number 48 was chartered with 45 members and grew to 117 within the first year, under leadership of the first commander, D.C. Donan, and adjutant E.R. Morton. Membership was limited to those veterans who served during wartime, reached a peak of 274 after World War II, and stands today at 67 members. In addition, post number 48 was the sponsoring charter of the Women's Auxiliary, consisting of spouses, mothers, or daughters of the Legion members for a number of years before being disbanded. Whereas the Griggs Alvey American Legion Post number 48 remains an active partner in both state and local services, including but not limited to Memorial Day programs to honor deceased veterans, Veterans Day programs to honor living veterans, flag retirement programs with local Cub Scout troops, scholarships to local high school graduates, assistance to transient veterans needing food and lodging assistance, assistance to local child abuse prevention efforts, rental of the local Legion building for various community needs, assistance to local veterans in applying for veterans benefits, assistance to family members of veterans in applying for survivor benefits, and advocating for legislation that will benefit our veterans and their families. Whereas Griggs Albee American Legion Post number 48 celebrates 100 years of continuous operation this year while continuing to assist other veterans in our community by following the 4 pillars of the American Legion: Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation, National Security, Americanism, Children and Youth. Whereas during this special month of December 2019, we honor those men and women that are the best of us, those that exemplify characteristics such as honor, courage, love of country, and duty, even after their military careers have long passed. Now, therefore, I, Adam Onan, Union County Judge Executive, do hereby proclaim the month of December 2019 as Griggs Albee American Legion Post number 48 month in Union County, and encourage all of our county citizens to honor and thank those who are and have been part of the rich history of Union County in Post number 48. I also encourage those who have been honorably discharged to contact a Legion member to join with them as they work and serve towards another 100 years. I entertain a motion to accept this proclamation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. First, I'll yield the floor. Commander Buckman, would you have anything that you'd like to say? I'm putting you on the spot here. We didn't schedule this, but
Well, I'd just like to thank everyone, thank the court for recognizing American Legion Post number 48. As the proclamation indicates, we have been in existence now for 100 years. And for those of us who are active in the Legion, we plan on doing our best to make sure it continues for another 100 years. It's my understanding that when the American Legion started after the First World War, it was with the idea that over a period of time, that group, that organization would no longer be needed because World War I was the war to end all wars. Unfortunately, that's not been the case, so there is a continuing need for organizations like the American Legion and the VFW. And without the support of the community, we could not be successful. So thank you very much, Judge, for issuing the proclamation.
my honor to do so. Just anybody have anything they'd like to add?
I'd just like to thank you all for your service and your dedication. Thank you all.
Same here. I'd like to thank y'all for the service and dedication. Also, I attend John Paul Veterans Day, and it's special. The video, if it don't get you, it gets me every time, every year. It's just hard to. I mean, it's great to watch and see how many people did serve, and it's a very touching video. So they do a great job at the school of putting that on.
Appreciate y'all's service to our country. I know y'all came back, some didn't come back, and some came back and they're still carrying the burden with them today. So I'm so happy that the federal government has recognized the need for improvement of our veteran services, our veterans hospitals. Maybe one of these days they're working in the right way. Maybe one of these days they'll get that up to 100% so we can take care of our veterans. And I know there's many organizations for those that didn't come back to take care of their families. And I just encourage everybody wherever in the community to support those organizations, those widows and those children who'll grow up without their father, some without their mothers, but y'all were willing to put your life on the line, make this supreme sacrifice for the love and service of your country, and it's much appreciated here. So thank you, thank all of you.
And I'd like to, thank the school in Sturgis, elementary school. They allowed me to do the program down there this year, and I really enjoyed that. And also, my dad was fought in World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam. He was active in all three, of course. It kept me from going to Vietnam. Not that I'm hearing about it, but he sacrificed his time to keep me safe. So so I think a lot of American Legion and the VFW.
Likewise, I thank you for your service. I thank you for your service to this country, but also thank you for your continued service to this community. And it's recognized, and we appreciate all of our service personnel. But thank you for being here this morning. Merry Christmas.
One of the things I'll conclude with before we take this vote, obviously to accept this proclamation, but if you've never attended the American Legion ceremony where they, in conjunction with our Boy Scouts, local Boy Scouts, honorably retire flags, you should do that. It is a poignant scene to see those men that would be willing to die under that flag to retire it honorably. And it's something everybody should witness once in their life, if not every Flag Day, that we are all there to celebrate that. And I appreciate the love of country and honor that you pass on to those Boy Scouts. This flag retirement box was full, and we brought it down to have them done this year, and it is a good thing, and I appreciate that's just one. All the Veterans Days and Memorial Day services and ceremonies that we go to are always so well done, and they honor those both living and dead, and we appreciate your community service, and you are the best of us, and we appreciate. Thank you for your service. So.
One thing I was on, it used to be you had to be the American Legion, you had to be active veteran in a war zone. Now, has that policy changed?
Yes, the American Legion is now open to all veterans who served since December 7, 1941. That's recently changed.
Yeah.
Since
Part of-
Pearl
part of
Harbor Day, it's in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you're welcome to stick around, or we're not going to talk bad about you if you leave either. So.
Thank y'all.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Thomas.
Bye, Rob.
Thank you, Commander.
See you later,
Thank you.
Rob.
All right, next on the agenda is our elevator update, and so I had printed off, each one will have the kind of the bid metrics that Jeff Cantor, who was here last week, or last meeting, I'm sorry, and when we opened the bids, we had a bid range of $509,000 to $1.321 million. Obviously, he has gone through this, and all of the companies meet the specifications that they were supposed to meet, and he had just in this letter says that the low bidder is $509,000 and everything is complete and finds them acceptable. But what I would like to do, and I might, Sean, you can jump in here if you want to at any time. When we first started this project, we had gone after some grants and things of that nature to see about this project, maybe through an ADA or something like that. And I would like to revisit that. I'm not comfortable with the amount of money that came in because it was so high over the construction or the architect's estimate. And so at some point we might have to rebid this. We've got all the engineering work is done, so that won't be an issue now. But I would just like to go back to work and see if we couldn't do a partnership grant or something, figure out a way to make this cheaper. While I do think this is a viable project and a needed project, we've got to somehow marry the fact of good stewardship of the money, and so that's where I'd like to, if there's not any objections, I don't think we need to take any action. I just wanted to give an update about where I was headed with that, and at some point we'll be back to the court to see what the pleasure of the court is. But at this point, I think. Well, let me ask, Counselor, do we need to move to reject all the bids, or do we need to just let this? How's the best way to do that? Okay. I would entertain a motion for that.
I move we reject all three bids we received on the addition of the elevator for Union County Courthouse.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a couple of questions, but we'll wait till we vote on it. It's
Okay.
not directly on this.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
I noticed on this, it says, although it appears incomplete.
I think he's referring to all of the bids. He didn't have enough of their information. Let me get that letter back where I have it. Turned it over. Well, here it is, right here. I got it. All the subcontractors, it appears that the list of materials and equipment was incomplete, but he found them generally acceptable. I don't think it had all of the material down that they were going to use that he was expecting. So, but with that in mind, since we've rejected all the bids, it's immaterial at this point.
Right, right. Well, I would hope if we rebid it, all those would be in there, that whatever Jeff was expecting to have in there. 'Cause I'd hate to get into something and well, these weren't in there, but you gotta add them all.
Certainly.
And then I was curious, did he say it's just quite a difference between 509 and the highest one, 1,321,000? Did he say what?
He did not, he never gave any indication as to, and I'm going to assume that from his perspective, he probably can't get into a whole lot of subjective information, because he deals with all of these companies, so.
Yeah, it's such a difference.
It really was. And it could be simply as the difference of one needing work and one covered up.
Huh?
It means one company's busy and one's not.
Yeah, a lot of times it's, hey, we'll take it, but you have to
You're
do
gonna pay for
this.
it.
Yeah.
But I mean, the biggest concern was the 347, that we were kind of in the range that we were thinking.
Yeah, and-
Go to
And in that 347, there was a 20%
contingency.
so it was closer to 300 for the actual work. So,
And that's what we were all coming in here with.
Yeah.
Thought, and it comes in at, the lowest bid was 509,000.
and in a future date, if we decide to rebid this, then they'll know at least, yeah, it will either get a bid better than that or we won't get any. So they'll know that that's beyond where we are. So
So you're gonna visit, Grant?
yes, yeah, I'll work with that. Probably pull Sean in to help a little bit with that from buildings and codes. He's probably got some avenues that we can explore and see where we are with that. So anyway, just wanted to give an update. We said we'd revisit that at this meeting and consider that revisited.
Okay, thank you.
Next, memorandum of agreement. This is Phase 2 Sturgis Levy project under House Bill 200. If you'll remember back in, and I'll quickly brief those that weren't here, in 2018, we had some coal severance money left on the table at $44,000 that had been committed to a project that never took place. We committed this $44,000 as kind of a design and engineering part to help with the levee, but due to the lag in time that it took to get all the bids and everything going, we had to go back and redo this. So this is simply just a memorandum of agreement with DLG. This has obviously been signed off by both of our Representative Miles and Senator Mills. And again, this is some of the redundancy that we have to do. First, we have to have the memorandum of understanding, and then we have to have the memorandum of agreement. And this is the final phase, so we can pay this bill that they have outstanding. And to my knowledge, and Sean may give us an update here, they've awarded the bid correctly,
Yes.
correct?
Yes. The contractor is, we're waiting on pipe delivery.
I think they feel like some of the shallower pipes and easier to get to areas along the levee in Sturgis they'll be able to go on and start now. Some of the deeper, more in-depth digs that they're going to have to do and all of that they're going to do after the flood season in the spring. So this will be an ongoing project, probably for the next 6 months, hopefully, be finished, and we can sign off, and that'll make Jerry happy. It'll make the Corps of Engineers happy. It'll make everybody happy that we'll get moved, get finished with this.
Long project.
I'll say it again, this should be the last.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever said that before?
You'll say that again? I'd entertain a motion for that.
So,
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Number 4 is marketing the Sykes Building. I'll turn this over to our Union County First Director, Melissa Coker. She's been working hard. She and Tammy both have been working hard the last little bit.
Thank you. So what I'm passing out here for everyone, which Adam, you may need to pass yours down.
Yeah, I have
Everybody
one.
see it.
I have one. Yeah, go ahead.
So this is a document that we put together in a really, really quick time, and the purpose for this document is, Tammy and I had the opportunity last week to visit both Madison, Wisconsin, as well as Chicago, for the sole purpose of marketing our community, especially the Sykes Building, to site selectors, brokers, company CEOs who may have an interest in bringing their company here, and or their client if it was a site selector that needed it. So we had the opportunity to make 11 different contacts with individuals, all of whom have this document in their hands now, and all of whom have an extensive list of contacts in the field of both customer service, agencies, as well as large companies, small companies, and everything in between. So the main importance behind this is, Tammy and I were able to get out there to actually sit down across the table from very, very large company CEOs and explain to them what our county is all about, what we have here to offer them and or their clients. We received amazing feedback, lots of great tips. I learned a great deal of information from every single person that we met with, which is the name of the game in this field. What you do is, you learn from the veterans in the field, basically. So having the opportunity to sit across the table from several site selectors was irreplaceable, to say the least. We have some work to do now that we're back. We have a couple different analysis studies that we want to get done, just so that we can prove on paper, because the gentlemen and ladies that we met with, if we can't prove it on paper, then it doesn't exist, pretty much. And right now, currently, you can pull a lot of information about Union County and the surrounding areas. It's a lot of great information, but there's a lot of information that you can't pull. So what our job is now is to make sure that we can actually pull that information so that they can pull that information, so that they can reveal that to their team as well. Some of the good feedback that we got actually was, believe it or not, there's not a lot of buildings like this one that's available. So we essentially have a plug-and-play center, and everyone was very shocked at that. Very shocked that the cubicles were even still standing. That was a huge plus, which we, I think, back in the beginning, didn't know if we needed to remove or to keep, but they were amazed at the fact that it's literally just like, the last company picked up and moved, and it's still in the same condition. So, one of the things that we're going to do now that we're back here in the county is a zip code analysis, because we need to prove to these companies that in Union County we pull from several companies around us. Again, when you're meeting with people in Chicago, they might walk a mile and that's it. They don't hardly ever commute into the city. They're all living and working right there. Whereas here, we may drive 45 minutes for a good paying job and not even blink an eye at it. So just trying to convey that, and trying to get that across to some of these site selectors and stuff, that's something that we're going to be working on. 3 of the individuals that we met with are part of the Site Selectors Guild, which what that is it is essentially made up of 50 of the top site selectors in the country. So we were able to pinpoint 3 of those, meet with them, discuss the county with them. So that was a huge plus for us, because they have constant contact with everyone else on that guild. Also through this trip, whenever we were talking to the guild members, they told us about their annual conference that they have coming up, which is a closed conference. It is, they open it only to the site selectors, And then economic developers, if they're willing to pay $3,000, like on the spot that day, they can possibly get a spot to go and talk to these people at this conference. They told me, every one of them told me about a scholarship opportunity. They said they only give it out, there's only 5 nationwide that they give out to new economic developers. And they all said, you know, hey, you should put in for it. So I just want the board to know that I have put in for it. The scholarship is completed. I'll probably submit it today. So hopefully I could be one of the 5 that get to go and actually talk to everyone all at this close conference. So there's a lot of great things that came of this trip, a lot of great things. We were from wheels down to wheels up. We never stopped, not once, even handing out cards at coffee shops. So it wasn't just our big level CEOs. I mean, we were striking up conversations with everybody who we had access to, who had even kind of an interest in hearing what we had to say.
Very good. Thank you for the update. Anybody have questions?
Yeah, Melissa, what are some of our shortcomings with this property? Did they mention here's what you can do to improve it? I know we can't change an interstate highway and have that, or.
You know, that was never mentioned.
Well,
Not
good.
once, Joe, and I thought that it definitely would be, but it wasn't. And I
Anything
think
about rail?
They did not mention rail, and I think
Okay.
it's because of the nature of the building. It's not
Call
a heavy,
sign.
it's not a heavy industrial building, therefore you're not gonna be necessarily moving products in and out. It's gonna be more for customer service, which can be done with or without a 4-lane highway. So that was a plus. No one mentioned the 4-lane road at all, not once. The one thing that they did mention was just workforce and being able to get those workforce numbers on paper. You know, with a 3.5, I think, unemployment rate, it's hard to prove necessarily that you have a workforce, you know, that can support 300 plus employees. So that was the biggest downfall. And again, that's where that zip code analysis comes in. We can show that we actually pull from a very large county region.
Yeah, you've had problems with that before because they don't visualize that we pull Southern Illinois,
They can't
Critton,
see it
and
like we can.
yeah, because they.
And whenever, I think it's a couple pages back, you can see the map that I put in there that shows kind of where we pull our workers from. And so now it's just putting an actual data number behind how many workers, for instance, of the 936 that are employed at Riverview, how many of them come from surrounding counties. Once we have that data, then we can prove to them that, you know, here's how far we do draw from.
Mhm.
In the Raylock days, they had a lot of Critton and Marion, had a lot of outside of Union County, which will help all these numbers. And
Yes. Even Sykes as well. You know,
Oh, yeah.
Sykes, I
Oh,
know
yeah.
there were several
Oh,
people
yeah.
from Creighton County that worked with Sykes. Several.
it sounded, you could hear it in your voice how valuable the trip was.
Oh my gosh, he was
Yeah, I mean,
amazing.
you can hear that.
Amazing.
The equipment at sites out there, I mean, is that like inventory, everything go with the building out there?
Yes, everything does go with the building.
The reason I'm asking is, last night we had that power outage. I was having to be down at the fairgrounds at John R. Arena, and that area is designated, I think, as a disaster place for people to go if we have an emergency. There's no power supply down there. Somebody said there was a big one at the sites building that we could possibly remove.
That stays with the building. That's because
Next time you're there, you can let them know.
they have to have that for customer call service, so they have to have that.
That would be
Well,
a, yeah,
we
it'd be a
need to
major,
look for
major
something
draw.
for the fairgrounds too. You know, it's gonna be a place for people to house in case of emergency. So.
How much backup power we had at the Sykes building was a question that we were asked. So that is definitely an asset.
Okay.
And we can run a small city with that generator out
Yeah.
there.
That's what they said.
Yes.
It's a pretty good size.
Well, let's have dimension on this. That's
Thank
a lot of
you.
information
Thank you.
detailed in 3 pages. Appreciate what you're doing.
It's
a good product.
really hard to get everything about your county in a couple of pages, but they definitely don't want to flip through a 10-page booklet. So I want to give my props to Grad. They helped me with this. Jessie Howard is the gal's name who helped me. She stopped everything she was doing to help me with this, and we're very, very appreciative to have them as a partner as well.
Yeah, this brochure is a good example of why it's very important to have that good working relationship with Grad, because they did, now Melissa's going to be really humble here. this was absolutely under her leadership that this got done. So I want to make sure, and I think everybody realizes that. They pitched in, helped do some formatting and stuff, but this is Melissa's to run with, and she's done a great job. And this is a professional quick summary of Union County, and it's a good one. It's really good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate what you do.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks for the update, and we look forward to more.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
All right.
Thank you, Melissa.
Next on the agenda is to set salary for the new administrative assistant. Obviously, with Kim taking, and we addressed that at our last meeting, the finance officer's position. Kim and Lissa and I looked over about 15 applications. We interviewed 6 or 5. I think we had 6 pulled, one withdrew. So interviewed 5, and we all came up with the same conclusion. I have offered this job to Jill Hunley from Uniontown, and I need a motion that we want to set her salary for $32,500, and that is where I get that salary is that's the same salary that Kim started when she was executive assistant in her position as well.
I'll make that motion. We set the salary for Jill Hunley at $32,500.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. We certainly want to welcome Jill to the team. She's going to be a great asset. She's going to fit real well with the way we do, and we're looking forward to that. She'll start January 2nd. Is her start date. Next is our treasurer's report. Did Alyssa have to step out? Yeah. We'll jump on over to claims. We'll come back to that. Mickey, would you tell her word to her point? Let's see. I know that Magistrate Clemens and County Attorney Julie Wallace and myself looked over them yesterday, kind of in shifts, and Rick did this morning. And so I think we had everything signed or will be signed. The one thing that I will point out, at our last meeting, we had a huge bill of $5,000 and something for the courier that we did not pay. That got addressed and came back to us that we owed $110 instead of $5,000. So that was quite a difference in price, but we're appreciative of the diligence of those people that found out and got to the bottom of it and got that. We're just talking about the paper, the bill, why we got it.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. So hang on, I'm getting to you in just a minute on treasurer's report. Yes, I am on claims.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I need to add a claim. 2 notaries came in for the jail, and they are letting them pick them up, but we have to write the notary check over to the clerk today, and I didn't know that they had come in, so it'd be a $38 check, $19 per notary. If you all will allow me to write the clerk a check for the jail's notary, and I'll get that check signed.
Added two for 19 each,
Yeah, $19 each, so it's
$38
check.
total.
Yes, please.
Okay. Made out to the clerk's office.
Union County Clerk.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So considering those two, I don't think there were any issues that we had. Did anybody have any that they had seen?
The one big bill on AT&T 911, but that, we're gonna get that reimbursed.
That's a grant for the recorder that was done some time ago, and we have to pay it to get the money, so it's
Yeah.
kind of a wash-through account.
The grant is supposed to end by the end of the year, which is why Mr. Dople urged A&T to hurry up and give us the bill so that we could get it paid at the first meeting, and they would clear the check, and we would get it turned in so that they would reimburse us.
Yeah, so
So
that money will
we'll have our check before the 31st.
come back to us. Any bills that don't need to be paid?
Yes, everybody signed in the,
There's a few that have not yet, but
okay,
They will sign.
yes.
okay.
Let the record show that all the bills are to be paid. Back to you. We'll go back to the November 2019 Treasurers Report. Listen,
I apologize.
that's all right.
Yes, the treasurer's report went very smoothly. I didn't have any issues at all, which was a huge success, as you all know, 'cause there's much work to be done, and I was glad that I didn't find any hiccups in it.
Okay.
And if you will allow me, in the midst of all the chaos and extra work, what I was running out for was I realized I did not give you your transfer list that you're gonna say no.
Oh, okay.
And we do not have a jail transfer because we already checked prisoner money early this month. It'll be at the end of the month.
Thank you.
But what this is the cash check, which is one of the reasons cash CD, which is one of the reasons, the end of November looks as well as it did.
Okay.
We had a CD come due at the end of November, and I cashed that out and have it in the checking account.
Okay. Let's deal with the 2019 Treasurer's Report before we get to the transfers. I'd entertain a motion to accept that pending audit.
So moved.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Now down to transfers. It's $300,000 that you transferred out of a CD put into the account. Okay. Yeah. I'd entertain that motion to accept the transfers.
So, second.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'll jump over in my comments first. Next week, in January, will be a new quarter, so we need to come up with some new magistrates for looking over the bills. Who would want to do that for the January, February, and March term? Okay, Magistrate Ricketts is one of them. Okay, and Magistrate Burns,
We got one more week.
which will be next week, by the way. We have a special call. It's next Tuesday. So, just to remind everybody. Thank you for volunteering. I want to point out a couple things, and a little bit. I'll circle back to where Melissa. The fact that she went to Chicago is going to be helpful in a couple of areas. The biggest of which is Illinois has been kind of on the picking list of Kentucky to go after businesses because of their somewhat non-friendly business environment, the tax setups, and the way that they kind of treat large businesses over there. From just billboards that the state of Kentucky has purchased to "We want you in Kentucky" to very directed marketing towards CEOs. So that's good. That should give us a little bit heads up. Last week, Vivek Serene, who was the acting director of economic development, and Commissioner Aaron Pursley came down and visited Union County Airport. Magistrate Ricketts and Magistrate Burns joined me in that visit. We spent a good deal of time with him looking for ideas about how we can market that area. While we were there, we jumped over to Saturn to let them to show them that we had manufacturing capacity and capabilities right there. He had like Melissa was talking about in her experience, he had a ton of good suggestions of those that we'll follow up on pretty quickly. Talk to one of the things that he says every time he's in front of people is that if you want to get business for your community, you're going to have to turn into a hunter. You got to go out and hunt those businesses, that they're not just going to fall into your lap. And so Melissa and I are both working in that direction, and so we'll be, when the new administration gets sworn in, and which is today, and the new cabinet secretaries and all that have kind of had a chance to catch their breath after the first of the year. There'll be several visits to make ourselves known. Melissa and I were talking yesterday. Those folks, when walking down the hall, when they see Melissa in Frankfort, they need to say, "Hey, that's Melissa Coker from Union County." And so that's kind of our goal right out of the gate, to get familiarize ourselves with those folks and work towards ways that when they're in meetings and something comes up, they think that'd be a good fit for Union County. And why wouldn't it be? We've got this is the best place. And so we want to get out and sell Union County, and that's what we intend to do. So that was a very good visit, and it was time well spent. One thing you'll notice, I think I might have mentioned this before, all the trucks that are pulling wire in downtown Morganfield, that's part of the Kentucky Wired project. That this is Ring 5 on this end of the state. They tell us that'll be turned on by October of 2020. We're already working with some experts and trying to help get Union County ready, and there'll be some, obviously there'll be some public-private partnerships and to get that final mile, and more will be coming to the court when we have that information. But we are anticipating that that's going to continue and will be completed because there are, at this date, there may be 3 rings, but there's at least 2 rings in the state already turned on. So hope to have that, have some more information for you as it's made available to me. And I think that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Will you give a public update on the curve?
Yes, I'd be glad to. So I can't remember if I've told this. I've so many people.
It don't hurt to tell it.
So I sent a picture to our District 2 engineer of a car that was off that curve in that first little snow patch we have, and she showed up a week later, kind of unannounced, and arranged for one of my farmer friends to take her on a ride around the curve in a semi with a high-sided trailer. And I think we have the attention of the state road department now. It's almost impossible from a farmer's aspect or a semi's aspect. I should be more broad, but from a semi's aspect, pulling any kind of a length of trailer to go around that curve without your trailer being in the wrong lane, the way it's designed. And so I have every confidence that that's going to be repaired. It's just going to take some time because we don't do road construction or big repairs in the dead of winter. And so hopefully we'll have some signs up quickly. They tell me those signs should be up this week. I may need to check on that, make sure they're going to get done. Slow curve signs to draw everybody's attention. And so I just encourage everybody patience and safety. And I say this, if that was a brand new road that we had never driven before, it probably wouldn't be as severe. We wouldn't notice it. We'd think, well, that might have been a little sharp. But because we are so patterned to that soft sweeping curve there, we notice the difference, and it draws our attention to it. And I have people, and I'm sure you guys do as well, people reaching out to you all. I don't go anywhere. Somebody doesn't ask, what about that curve? That got me last week or last night or something. And so we want to get that fixed before we have an accident, and I'm confident that we'll. And one of the bases of my confidence, and all the magistrates I think were there when we had the ribbon cutting. You'll remember that project came in $300,000 under budget, which in my farmer logic thinks we've got $300,000